All right, settle down. We'll start this meeting. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the meeting here at Los Angeles City Council. Today is Tuesday, April 1st, but this is no April Fool's. We're having a real meeting here.
I will now call names to go up and speak. Andrew Grabner, Stacy Segara, Claire Annette, Tina Hera, Pat Berry, Ron Harbert, Tiffany Figueroa.
Hello, Mr. Grabner. Which items did you want to speak to?
All items and general public comment.
Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you, Adrian, for getting your staffers away. What's the 38? We've got something related to the Inside Starving program, the homelessness emergency. So this emergency is not being managed well. This emergency is not getting people housed. All it's doing is putting a handful of unhoused people in a cheap motel room with no food or blankets, dozens of miles away from where they already were living. And it's not getting them any permanent housing or anything. And most people are just getting swept away, which is pretty much how this city typically does typically handles homelessness in the city. Just sweeps and criminalization, no help, no housing, no services. Just violence and death. Item 39 is putting Green Day on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Green Day's okay as a performer, but right now it seems like in the midst of all the crisis going on in the city, maybe city resources should not be going towards Walk of Fame stars right now. And maybe once we've solved some of those crises in the city and those emergencies, we can then spend some money on some Walk of Fame stars. So we have item 42, which is related to the budget hearings, which will be held here, I guess, in May. Now, what you really should be doing is you should have a participatory budget hearing in every council district in the city so that every council district gets an opportunity to weigh in on the budget and let you know how they think about the budget. And every meeting where you discuss the budget should have public comment both in person and on the phone, and people should be able to each day provide feedback on the presentations that they heard related to the budget and how your budget is going to wreck the city probably, because you're gonna just give more money to the LAPD to fund the rest of the city while you get us further and further into a financial crisis that we weren't in until you started overfunding the LAPD and they got you into all kinds of liability suits and wrecked the contract to pay them was too much. And you should let the People's Budget LA Coalition do presentations for both the committee and the full council. So we have anything else? Item 45 is a right to counsel program. Why wasn't this already a thing? That tenants should get lawyers when they're getting evicted. That should be automatic, and that should be passed. Okay, so we have general public comment. It looks like things are doing a little bit better about people paying attention today. A little bit, although some of you are still missing from the council chamber, which is kind of noticeable. What happened to the council president? He was here at the beginning of the meeting and then he left. But it seems like you all should be doing more to start speaking out as Trump likely start targeting undocumented immigrants in this city. And we all know that it's coming, that Trump is going to start extrajudicially kidnapping student protesters and taking them to who knows where in the colleges in this part of the country. And you all should be speaking out about that. But you all just spent a year demonizing them, so I'm sure you're not going to do anything.
Mr. Herman, which items would you like to speak on? Please come to the podium. Well, let's start his clock, please, Mr. Herman.
Motherfucker. All motherfucking items and non-agenda public comment.
Go ahead.
Why can't you give a disabled person the time to get to the mic, motherfucker? Item 2, item 3, item 4. That's the protest for today. Why are you violating people's civil rights and constitutional right for this apprehension of these goddamn liens? Lean on me and leave the motherfuckers alone. People need housing. They need a goddamn place to stay, Nithya Noodle. And this fucking city just raised the taxes. They just raise the taxes like money falling out of the goddamn tree. How many of you have a house? How many of you can afford the rent? How many of you can fucking live in Los Angeles? That's the problem with these liens. They're unconstitutional. And Dean Ferguson told you guys, stop fucking with public comment time. Now to item 42, asshole. 42. 42. KK Kulowski, and where's the Sambo Uncle Tom? Let us talk about the mayor's proposal for housing and homelessness. Where's the money? Where's the goddamn fucking money, I said? Where is the money? We need to schedule time to spend the people's money so that this shirt can tell the world what you people do for a living. Eat all the pussy with our taxpaying money. That's what you do with it. Right, Bob? Look at 43, Bob. Homelessness Committee again, Bob. Look at the other item, Green Day. Another walk of shame. Why are you putting people's names on stars where you don't clean? You don't sanitize. Why do you allow people to destroy Donald Trump's star? Sorry, Bob. It's not my fault you married a black woman. It's your fault. Time again, all these items, Smoke and Scan, fucking 48 items. How do you expect a wetback like me to go through 48 items, Bob? Bob, how do you expect me to do that, Bob? You think I'm a turkey, Bob? Now into my non-agenda public comment regarding J.D. Vance, Vice President of the United States. Thank you again for all you have done and continue to do to support President Trump. And this is the action I took to educate you people. Brandenburg versus Ohio. Yes, US 395 444 1969. I'm educating you. Brandenburg versus Ohio.
Mr. Herman, please speak to the members. Face the horseshoe.
I got the floor. And into the record, I believe Mr. Brandenburg, KKK, put on the record, and to no offense, because I love everyone, but education's important. The significant portions that I could be understood were, how far is the end going to, yeah? This is what we're going to do to the end. A dirty nigger. Send them back to Israel.
Thank you, Mr. Herman.
You're done. Goodbye. You add so much to the discussion. April Fools. Next.
Hi, which items would you like to speak on?
I'll take all items and general public comment.
Please go ahead.
Several of these items are regarding the Los Angeles Housing Department, LAHSA, an agreement reached with the county and the LA Alliance for Human Rights, all about dealing with the crisis of the unhoused resident population. This is a noble effort, but a lot of this funding goes to leases, so we're funneling more money in the hands of landlords, and also, shelter beds, comfort items. These things are important to reduce the symptoms of homelessness, but do nothing to address the cause. What we need is to be obtaining housing, banning private equity and investment firms from owning residential property in the city of LA, and creating a public housing trust for truly affordable housing. I've been turned away from many affordable housing projects because I don't make enough, and I work for the city. This is item 39. Why are we putting stars on a dirty, grimy boulevard? Now Green Day gets a star, but it's not just them, they're not alone. They're not alone, they're not alone. On this city street, people beg to get a bite to eat, and some people sleep. There's nowhere for them to be alone. The city leaves them on their own. How much does the city collect for these permits? Should we increase the cost? That could make it worth it. With that revenue, we could build some bathrooms so folks could piss alone. It's kind of weird decorating your street with stars when there's people sleeping on it and it's covered in shit and piss because there's nowhere for people to use the bathroom. Here's item 42. One budget hearing where the people get to speak, scheduled during work hours in the middle of the week. And even then, will you listen to the people there? Could it be more obvious that you don't even care? It's something so predictable but frustrating all the same. You treat our livelihoods like it's a game. So could one of you make a motion to amend, to add more opportunities to comprehend the priorities of your constituency? Are we not the ones who pay your salary? You could be less predictable and stand up for what's right. The people will never give up the fight. I cannot help but notice how few council members there are in their chairs right now. Do we even have a quorum? The ones who are here are not even paying attention. Councilmember Lee, Councilmember Padilla. All right, this is the people's time for you to hear us whine, but you're clearly not listening at all. You think that we are fools. You want to change the rules so you can kick us out for cursing. The council president is afraid of the public and what we say. He wants to censor us, his motion seconded. You're also paranoid, it's absurd. You're grasping for control, but we're gonna hold on. You want to trample on our rights, but we will never end the fight. We are all fed up, but we will not give up. You're all a bunch of words that rhyme with blunt. Shout out Smoke and Scan. Everyone go follow Savvy Sav's Revolutionary Blackout Network and You Dissidents on YouTube, and fuck all of you.
Great, thanks. And we appreciate the Green Day parody on the day that we're doing the Green Day. Thanks for that being relevant. All right, next.
Hello, Speaker. Which items did you want to speak to?
Yes, Mr. City Attorney, my name is L. Ron Hubbard, and I am here to speak on 42, 47, 48, and the general, if you allow me.
Please go ahead.
Start with number 42. It's about the mayor's budget, and I'm really concerned every time the mayor talking about her budget. It's because we do not see any budget that was allocated for our Figueroa sex worker community. I see people in mayor's budget, the hotel worker getting their 100% raise. I see those hotel airport worker getting their 200% raise. And then, however, our Figueroa sex worker are completely ignored and forgotten. That has to stop. That is such a miscavigical action by the city council has to stop now. Because sex workers are workers.
So
we deserve to be on the mayor's budget. I'm talking about the mayor's budget. And then it's not fair for you to only put your budget on hotel worker, airport worker, and forget about our sex worker. That's not okay, City Attorney. Now, City Attorney, I'm going to move on to item number 47. Please. Pay attention. I need you to pay attention, otherwise you keep calling me out of topic. 47 is about homeless services. regarding the program. I recently saw that Homeless Services on the news that Mr. City Attorney, that your department has proudly failed the homeless audit. $2.6 billion homeless budget. They were not able to track where did you send the money to. It's on KTLA News. It's on CBS LA News. And then right now, you are still asking for more money for the homeless after you wasted billions of dollars. So I just have no idea. How many corrupt workers that you have to hire in order to steal more money from the taxpayer. Now, if you allow me, let's move on to item number 48. Item number 48 is about encampment resolution. City Attorney, please pay attention. I am on topic, just to remind you again. How do we stop encampment? Because our City Attorney, let me tell you, when your rent is too high, when your housing mortgage is too high, then people do not have where to live. They have to put their encampment on the sidewalk, on the street. And then when the LAPD kick them out, they have to move down Figueroa and to doing sex work again. That's the reason why you are having those encampment resolution, but it will never work. Until you start to recognize our transgender community, our Figueroa prostitute community, that we deserve dignity, we deserve services, we deserve your attention too. Now, let's move on to general public comment.
Please.
Talking about Figueroa services, that I am seeing that City of Los Angeles need to have equal access to sexual intercourse. But right now, the people of Los Angeles, they do not have enough access to sexual intercourse. That is a health hazard. That has to stop. Now, how do we start to provide equal access to everyone, every single Angelino in the city of Los Angeles, provide them equal access to their sexual intercourse services? Let's put them to Figueroa. Because we have a really great Figueroa president, Jason Jenkins, and he makes sure everyone receive their fair, equal, justified sexual services. There's no discrimination right there. Everybody, $5 a head. So I want to make sure the city council stop discriminating sex worker and start to paying sex worker a fair wage. We need a raise Figueroa transgender sex worker. Let's go.
La energía dirigida se solo voy a hablar en public comment.
Sorry, can you move? I had a little trouble hearing you. Can you move the microphone a little closer to you?
Thank you.
Thank you. Which items were you on?
No voy a hablar de otras cosas. Es parte de energía dirigida, la nueva libro de Ron Johnson. Okay.
I'm not going to speak of anything except for the book of energy on Hiram Johnson.
1 minute for general public comment. Go ahead.
Gracias. Okay, este hombre es un hombre de religión y de la derecha. Él es muy amigo con Rush Limbaugh. De hecho, espero la traducción.
He is a man of religion, he is a man from the right, and he's a friend of Rose Limbaugh.
Rush Limbaugh murió de energía dirigida. Go ahead.
Rose Limbaugh died from the energy.
Sí, gracias. Directed energy. Mujer muy religiosa con quien trabajé muchos años, 20 años, Sarah Riley, también. 20 de mis amigos murió de energía dirigida. Ojalá que ustedes lo lean ese libro. Vale la pena.
Another, Racy Riley is a religious woman also that died also from directed energy, and it is worth this book. I hope you can read it.
Vale la pena.
It is worth to read it.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Streffen, I'd like to speak on general public comment and number 38.
Okay, so if you would start with item 38, please, and then move to general. Thanks, Mr.
Sure. Good morning. My name is Adam from LA Community Action Network. I want to wish everyone happy April Fool's Day. Speaking of jokes, while a lot of you talk a big game about accountability and oversight with regard to how homeless dollars are being spent, trying to spread blame around, today you're voting on over $2 million being allocated for congregate shelter beds at the Union Rescue Mission shelter in Skid Row, as well as over $3 million for the Weingart shelter on 6th and San Pedro for Inside Safe. Like other Inside Safe locations, this amounts to over $40,000 per year or $3,300 per month per bed in a congregate shelter where people won't have their own space or their own bathroom or their own inside safety. $3,300 is a lot of money for a shelter bed in a city whose median rent is much less than that. How many of these beds historically used daily for people in Skid Row are being held for Inside Safe operations, the majority of which, according to this monthly report, are actually repopulation operations, which shows extravagantly funding shelter beds in lieu of actual housing is failing as it always does? Public comment.
Sure.
What's worse is that your biggest concern is about meeting a legal settlement by producing the right amount of shelter beds, not actually addressing the root causes of houselessness, housing availability, affordability, and poverty. I wish it were a joke, but here we are, and here you are. I am a renter. I live in Council District 11 and work in Skid Row. I strongly support a codified right to counsel ordinance. I'm in support of the ordinance as drafted. Right to counsel in other cities across the nation has proven to save the city money, prevent homelessness. I'll say yada, 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 because I want to get to, as people continue to point out, the people who voted you into office, who take time out of their day to give public comment, come in here and come up here and speak while none of you listen. Just because there are racist, misogynist pieces of shit that come in here every day to speak gibberish doesn't mean you should ignore everyone else. If you're talking about transparency and accountability, how about you show your constituents some?
But I need you to tell your partner, Mr. Grote, he owes me an apology, and he's been hiding from me for 2 weeks. Happy to see you, but he needs
Thanks,
to
but
be
let's move on with
reminded.
the items.
Okay, so topic number, the first ones with all the, the fees and trying to harm people with their houses. It's all chump change that you're getting. Like I get that you're desperate for money after the city, burned down because, of bad management and everything. So you're desperate for money. But this is chump change. We've been bringing to you how you can make real money, with all the fines against the Church of Scientology, okay? You guys are going after them, and you could have I think they calculated like $1.5 million now. So why go after this chump change when you could go after real money? And instead of targeting homeowners, you're getting it from somebody who's abusing the city and the system. I like to talk about Green Day, I guess. No, the other one with Bob's. I mean, maybe Bob will listen because it's his thing. Okay, don't vote for Bob's thing because he can't listen. He doesn't know how to listen. So my thing is, now with this extra money, if you don't get the extra money, Bob, will the ice melt? Okay, that's my question. If the ice will melt because you don't get this extra money, then okay, we don't want the ice melting because that's horrible to be on ice skates with no ice. Okay, but if it's not going to melt, then no, they don't deserve any extra money. And thank you for listening finally. Okay, and I wish Ms. Padilla would listen. It would be helpful. She looks like she's doing homework. Are you doing your homework?
I think we're not on topics. If you get back on the
I'm
items.
sorry, sir. I thank you for reminding me. Okay, and then about the mayor's meeting. Okay, I'm all for the mayor's meeting, but I have questions. Is that allowed? Can I ask questions? It says for public comment, but will the mayor or whoever's going to be will they be listening to the public comment? Can we put in the agenda item that they have to listen? Or at least, like Ms. Padilla sometimes, she'll make eye contact. She's not really listening, but she's trying. She'll at least let me think that she's listening. And, with all you guys, I caught Ms. Hernandez. She knows she listens, even though she doesn't look like she is.
Stay on topic.
Can we put that on the agenda item that you have to listen? See, like Bob's not listening. He's back to chibber-jabbering. And look, you guys didn't even listen to Mr. McCosker. I was heartbroken. About the mayor's meeting, will you listen to Mr. McCosker?
Stay on topic.
Okay.
Listening is not the topic.
It's not? Okay. Well, I want Mr. McCosker listen to if he speaks at the mayor's meeting, because you guys weren't listening, except for Mr. Hugo. He was the only one listening. Everyone else was ignoring him like he ignored us.
You're not listening. It's not on topic. Stay on topic.
Okay. Yes, sir. So I want at this meeting, I want you, sir, to listen to what they're doing. Okay? I'm asking you to include this on that agenda item. And as far as Green Day, I agree with all of them. Do we really have to add more stars, where, you don't clean or take care of it? Anyway, public
General.
comment, okay. I am going to ask Mr. Curran Price, wherever you are, that if anything with the, like the street vacation of Scientology comes up or anything like that, he needs to recuse himself because his wife has earned money, her company earns money from Scientology. So just a reminder, we'll be looking. Okay, and as far as Mr. McCosker not being listened to, I'm upset about that. If you can't even listen to each other, like how, I mean, you don't listen to us, although you need to. Mr. Lee, are you not listening to me? Mr. Lee, paging Mr. Lee. Paging Mr. Lee, are you listening? Mr. Lee, are you listening? Hello, hello, hello. No, he's looking out that way. Over here. Okay, no, he's not listening. And then Miss Monica, man, she was my hero after the fire. Don't be disappointing me and not listening when I'm here. Like, you know, I know you don't like public comment. I know you hate it. It's something you had to endure. But, you know, you just had to endure it. Right, Miss Padilla? Right, Miss Padilla? It's something to be endured. Thank you. I'll take a nod. I'll take that. I mean, at least I'm being, you know, heard. But now, Mr. McCosker. Oh, man, I just defended Mr. McCosker. He's not listening to me. I'm
Speaker.
Good morning. I'm here to speak about 45 and a general comment.
Sure. You have a minute for each. Please go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Hyung Linda Park with the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles. The Right to Counsel program ordinance is extremely important to families living in subsidized housing. Subsidized housing helps low-income families to stay housed, especially in LA where housing is cost prohibitive. For example, one of my clients was unhoused for a while and her family was forced to be separated. However, once she got on a Section 8 program, she was able to stay housed and keep her family together. Despite the importance of housing subsidies, however, it is unfortunately too easy for families to lose their benefits. Section 8, for example, has complicated program requirements and incessant paperwork, and failure to navigate the administrative labyrinth can result in a family losing their subsidies. Once subsidies are taken away, many families face eviction. Eventually, they end up unhoused with an eviction on their record. Thus, it is extremely important that there exists a right to counsel for families living in subsidized housing. For many, an attorney is the last line of defense between preserving subsidized housing and homelessness. Please vote yes on the right to counsel ordinance. Thank you.
I'll be speaking on item 45.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Catalina Romo Paxcle, and I get the honor to work in Stay Housed LA with 16 community-based organizations and legal service providers who are able together to provide locally tailored and culturally relevant services to tenants to keep them housed. Thank you so much for your support of Right to Counsel ordinance, as this is a life-saving service to tenants. I see tenants in court who are unaware of their need to respond to their unlawful detainers, and they are sent on their way, losing their case and onto the streets. I see tenants that do not have representation, and it is a life or death issue for these tenants. It is also a matter of keeping our intergenerational family fabric intact in the city of LA, and I thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anaí. I'm giving general public comment in support of a codified right to counsel. I am a renter and I live in Council District 10. I strongly support a codified right to counsel ordinance and in support of the ordinance as drafted. The right to counsel in other cities across the nation has proven to save the city money, prevent homelessness, and reduce the number of evictions. I also want to thank Councilmember Rahman for your leadership on this critical issue. Working at Sage and Stay Housed LA, I service tenants who have no idea what paperwork has come into the mail, and I see my parents in these elders. I work for a program that provides some tenants with representation while going through an active eviction, and the rest are left to fend for themselves. They have to go up against professionals in a system that already doesn't favor them, and it doesn't seem fair. I urge all City Council members to vote yes on the R2C ordinance today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sí, soy inquilino del Distrito 9 y vengo a apoyar firmemente la ordenanza codificada para proveer el derecho a un abogado.
I live in District 9 and I'm here to urge you to vote yes on right to counsel.
Apoyo la ordenanza tal y como está escrita.
I support the ordinance as it is.
El derecho a un abogado en otras ciudades del país ha demostrado ahorros en el presupuesto de la ciudad.
Right to counsel has proven that the city has actually saved money in other cities.
prevenir la falta de vivienda y reducir el número de desalojos.
We need to be proactive and we need to make sure that there's no more homeless people in the streets.
También quiero agradecer a la concejal Raman por su liderazgo en este tema crítico.
I also would like to thank Councilmember Rahman for being a leader in this fight.
En mi caso personal, cuando yo solicité que tuve necesidad de un abogado,
Based on my own experience, when I needed an attorney,
fue muy frustrante saber que no calificaba por mi código de prioridad.
it was very frustrating because I was not part of the zip code that can receive those services.
Sin embargo, vivo en el Distrito 9, que es un distrito que está en el área de pobreza.
I live in District 9 and where there is a high level of poverty.
Por lo cual los inquilinos no podemos pagar un abogado.
Therefore, tenants cannot afford an attorney.
Es ahí donde los dueños de propiedad pues tienen mucha ventaja sobre nosotros porque pues ellos sí pueden.
So property owners are on the winning side because they have the money to hire an attorney.
Les pido a los miembros del Consejo Municipal voten a favor de la ordenanza 45.
I urge the members of the council to vote yes on the on number 45,
También
the
les
right
pido,
to counsel ordinance.
Gracias.
también les pido voten no en la
Sí.
37.
A no on 37.
Hi, Speaker. Which items did you want to speak to?
45 in general public comment, please.
Please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Lena Sullivan. I'd like to comment on item 45 in support. I am a tenant organizer with Sage and Stay House LA, and every day I meet tenants who are desperately looking for a lawyer in their eviction case. Tenants in unincorporated LA County already have a codified right to counsel, and when they come to me for help in their eviction case, it feels really good to tell them, yes, you're not alone in this scary situation. There's help for you. I will sign you up for a lawyer. However, when tenants within LA City come to me panicked because they're about to be thrown out of their house, it feels really awful to tell them, you know, maybe if you get lucky, you might get a lawyer, but ultimately you're on your own. The eviction court system is incredibly confusing, stressful, and intense. It's really difficult for tenants to represent themselves, especially if they're elders, disabled, and/or don't speak English. And while education tools for self-representation really help, they're ultimately not enough, and therefore it's imperative that tenants have the right to a lawyer to represent them. Again, other policies like rental assistance and tenants' rights education are helpful, but ultimately they are not enough. Legal representation for tenants is imperative in order to support tenants through one of the most stressful moments of their lives and allow them to stay in their homes to reduce displacement and homelessness. The right to counsel in other U.S. cities has been proven to reduce evictions, prevent homelessness, and ultimately save the city money. This is a really historic and deeply impactful change, so please vote yes. And then to continue with my general public comment, I would like to encourage you to vote no on item 37. And then additionally, something that's not on the agenda today, but hopefully will be soon, I would like to encourage you to commit to voting to update the LARSO rent control formula to a formula based on 60% of CPI with a 3% cap and no floor. This is really important to, again, reduce evictions, reduce homelessness, and support tenants. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, 45. We are living in difficult times in Los Angeles and the county general. Rents are too expensive to afford. People are being evicted. We do need the right to counsel. Please vote yes, because people don't know anything about legal procedures and they get really messed up. Please vote yes for right of counsel. It's really sad to see people being evicted because the ignorance that we have. And not everybody has the fortune to come from an educated home. So when the papers come to a person, they don't know what to do with it. So please vote yes in the right to counsel. All the people who have compassion and empathy for us, the community. Because we are the ones who sit you over there, please try to do the right thing for the people. Okay, I'm going to the other one.
Okay.
So it's not right that you want to allocate that money that the people fought for it. Please don't do that. I support that what the people want, not what the city, because you are in financial messed up, you want to use their money. It's our money, everybody's money. If that money was allocated for a specific function, honor the people's wishes, please. Now, general comment. I'm really upset that I'm following Judge Carter in the federal court, that the city of Los Angeles is misusing the people's money. And the homeless is a real issue. It's really sad. I passed on Saturday for a ski road, and it's really dramatic. It breaks everybody's heart. If you are not a politician, it seems like you guys don't care. But I understand the problem is not here. It's the people who do the government, the city. Because you are just only like a little puppets, and whatever the city does, you go along because it's your convenience.
Thank you,
it's not
Speaker.
fair.
Thank you. Sorry, your time's expired. Thank you.
Public comment in item 45.
Please go ahead.
It's too bad that there's not every council member's not here to listen to the people. They should be here for this. The majority of landlords in LA have taken advantage of the unlawful detainer eviction process. Many landlords abuse LARSO, and for far too long, the system, including city officials, the housing department, the courts, and on have allowed this to happen, displacing tens of thousands, if not more, renters. Landlords resort to this tactic of filing unlawful detainers, often to jack up rents, as a method to threaten tenants who stand up for their rights to safe habitability or reduction of services and other reasons. LA County finally stood up to this landlord abuse of renters, many with kids, by passing a right to counsel ordinance. It is now imperative that our LA city representatives stand up for their constituents, the people they represent in their districts. Renters are vital to the health. Renters are vital to the health of Los Angeles and make up the majority of the population and workforce. They are a vital core in keeping Los Angeles functional, providing all types of much-needed services for all Angelenos. The UD eviction process is a lengthy, very complicated, and scary legal process for renters. Finding legal representation is hardly possible, and with all the court paperwork and court appearances makes it virtually impossible. And most renters need full-time jobs to scrape by and pay rent, utilities, food, insurance, etc. As a result, over 90% of renters either just give up or lose their UD. From experience, facing a UD eviction becomes a full-time job and is extremely taxing both mentally and physically. Being involved in helping out my renter community, I even know cases where renters have gotten very sick and even died, which I believe may have been a result of this daunting and sick abusive system. Listening to the majority of renters' UD cases, they are frivolous with no merit. City representatives, this is your chance. You need to do the right thing as the county did and stand up for renters.
Thanks. Thanks. Sorry, your time expired.
And
Good morning.
The person who was screaming in the back, this is your only warning. If you yell again and yell out, you will be removed. And I'm referring to the woman in the blue shirt and the mask who was yelling. Make that clear. So go ahead.
Hello, I am Sung Anderson from Housing is a Human Right, speaking in favor of item number 45 and general public comment. Tenant rights are meaningful only if renters have access to legal counsel to defend them. Too often, even if a tenant is aware of their rights, they are incapable of exercising those rights if they cannot afford to hire an attorney. We are asking the City Council to support the legal right to counsel in the interest of accessibility and fairness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ciris Barrios. I was here to speak actually on item 37, which apparently has been voted on. I'm very upset about that because there's a lot of residents that drove all the way from South LA. So I'm going to make general comment for that one, and I'm going to speak on 45. But I would like first to address 37, my general comment, and then talk about 45.
Can we start with, we usually start with the specific item. Would you mind starting with item 45, please?
Okay. My name is Ciris Barrios. I'm here in support of item 45 I'm with Trust South LA. We're a nonprofit in South Los Angeles. We assisted about 1,000 residents with their ERAP applications, many of them in crisis because they were being harassed by their landlords. Many ended up actually being referred to the Safe House program where they got the support necessary, or to some legal organization where they got the legal support necessary to have their rights protected as tenants and to be able to stay in place. So once again, I'm here in support of item 45. and stand here in solidarity with everybody here that it's just common sense. Vote yes on 45.
Okay, you want to? Okay, General then, please go ahead.
Okay, I'm very upset because I don't see council member from District 8, and I can't really see from far, so I don't see the senior advisor either, or Council 9. I hope that Council 15 pays attention, and also Council 1 and 13. But we are here, many of us, to talk about the Blue LA program and this funding being removed from South Los Angeles. It was a clean mobility investment that was going to bring 60 stations and 300 EV cars to South Los Angeles, including District 15, 8, and 9. And now you have all voted without listening to the public on this item that was so important. We're here wasting our time, because that's how I feel right now, wasting our time to speak on this item that now you have allocated pretty much the $1.5 million to 4 vehicles that will serve 65 years and older, which we respect our elders, but this was to create adoption of clean mobility and improve quality of life for South LA residents, and you all voted differently on that. So I'm very disappointed on this council.
Thank you. Thanks, Speaker. Sorry, your time's expired.
I'm speaking today in my capacity as a member of the STEP Steering Committee and of the South LA community residing in Council District 8. We urge the council to share with us on the voting process how the decision was made for agenda item 37 prior to public input. Many community organizations, advocates such as Trust South LA, Kiwa, People for Mobility Justice came here to demand transparency and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jessie Hawkins, and I work at LAX for 6 years. And over 3 months ago, you voted to raise the wages of the tourist workers and make sure we have access to family health care. And this policy is important to me because the cost of living is constantly rising. And my wages, I'm finding it very difficult to keep up, such as the rent. There's no cap. They can go anywhere from 5 to 10% increase. Food prices. I go to the store weekly, and I turn around in circles. I find the prices like triple. And I only come out. I used to spend $65. Now I find myself spending $125 and walking out with just only 2 bags.
Thank you, Speaker.
Mi nombre es Inés Silva y necesito traductor, por favor.
Good morning, my name is Ines Silva and I need a translator. Siga, señora.
Buenos días, he trabajado durante 10 años en el aeropuerto y hace 3 años atrás a mi esposo se le quitó el seguro médico.
I worked at LAX for 10 years, and about 3 years ago, my husband lost his medical insurance.
Es importante para mí porque él es diabético.
He's
Me
diabetic.
gustaría que me apoyaran a pasar todas estas, que tengamos un seguro médico digno de nosotros, un salario digno de nosotros, porque en estos tiempos o pagamos nuestra renta o dejamos morir a nuestra familia porque no tenemos dinero para comprar nuestras medicinas.
I am
Muchas
here
gracias.
because I need to ask you for your support so that we working people can have good paying jobs and medical insurance. We sometimes have to choose to pay the rent or to buy medication or to buy food. Thank you.
Les pido por favor que nos apoyen. Muchas gracias.
Please support working class people. Thank you.
Now, housing. I've been housed under the LAMP special program, Stay House, Mental. And for the last year, my manager has lied on me about not paying my rent, and I have. But anyway, they take Section 8's money and deny the tenant of paying their money. Why is Section 8 still paying the management when they lie on the tenants to get the people kicked out that's housed under special program or Section 8, whatever you want to call it. Who protects them once they get housed under the program? What agency? Because I know People's Concern has not did anything for me. My advocate from Section 8, all they do is tell you to move. So what is the system good for? Poor folks can't afford no attorney. They say you can get it done free. That's a lie too. It doesn't happen because if you don't meet the criteria of a word being said very specifically, you don't meet the criteria, period.
Hi, good morning, City Council. First of all, I would like to thank Imelda Padilla for coming to LAX and actually seeing a day of an airport worker. It's very honoring for us as airport workers to see City Council members come out and see what we do. And I actually welcome all council members. You should come to see of a day of an airport worker. So my name is Armando Munoz, and I'm a security officer monitoring ACAMS agent. And I am a proud member of SAIU Local USWW, and we represent 5,000 plus airport workers. Our city is headed to our certain economic times, but what isn't certain is that workers who make the airport function need a raise. And any raise that we get paid goes into the economy. We spend it on the necessities that at the current moment we cannot afford. An economic study came out that Ms. Tracy Park asked for, and the CLA has confirmed that we've been saying raising the wage for LAX workers would benefit the whole economy too. So we need to make sure that we pass this month so our families and our entire city can start seeing the benefits of our economy. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Barbara Schultz. I'm the Director of Housing Justice with Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles and Stay Housed LA. 2 years and 2 months ago, Council members Rahman, Blumenfeld, Hernandez, Hutt, and Yaroslavsky brought forward this motion for a right to counsel ordinance. And I thank you so much for that, but it is time. It is time to pass this ordinance today. And really, I don't think you need any more amendments to this ordinance. It has been back and forth and back and forth. We really need this passed today. I understand there is some concern over the remedies section. If you really feel the need to fix that, then it needs to be with defined terms, so it should actually just say tenants who are under 80% AMI, because it is tenants who are under 80% AMI and live in the city of LA who are eligible for this program. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Nicholas Lampros. I'm an attorney with Betzetic Legal Services. I'm here giving general public comment in support of right to counsel. I spent 3.5 years defending tenants in unlawful detainer proceedings as part of the Stay Housed LA program. Betzetic strongly supports codifying the right to counsel and supports passing the ordinance as drafted without any further amendments. In my time working with tenants, I saw firsthand the massive difference having an attorney can make in eviction proceedings. Today, the overwhelming majority of landlords filing evictions have legal representation, while the majority of tenants fighting for their housing do not. This creates a huge imbalance in power, which is all too often what decides their case instead of the facts and the law. Evictions are fast-paced and incredibly traumatic situations. No one should have to fight for their housing on their own. I'd like to share one brief example. A few years ago, I represented a tenant in successfully defeating an illegal eviction. Less than 6 months later, her landlord tried to evict her a second time, and this time her landlord quickly won a default judgment because she was not able to file an answer in time, even though the basis of the second eviction was also illegal. The only difference was that in the second case, she was not able to get a lawyer in time due to a lack of capacity and available attorneys. Fortunately, she did eventually contact our office, and we were able to assist her in working the situation out, but many tenants do not get that chance. Having a lawyer at your side is all too often the difference between keeping your home and becoming homeless. Right to counsel in cities across the nation has proven to save cities money, prevent homelessness, and reduce evictions. That is why I want to thank Councilmember Rahman for her leadership on this critical issue and urge all council members to vote yes on the right to counsel ordinance without any further amendments. Thank you.
Mr. Greenspan, which items do you want to speak to?
All items and general public comment.
Please go ahead.
First of all, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. It's a spending day today. What are we spending on? A skate facility? Excuse me, last I heard last week, we were $1 billion in the red. Where do we have the money in Reseda or anywhere else in the city to spend when we are $1 billion in debt? Now, I realize that the public school system cannot teach arithmetic, and the proof's in the pudding. Why, before last week, we were only $558 million in debt when the city controller was here. And the pension fund contribution. How can we spend money on homelessness? How can we spend money on anything? Police, fire, whatever. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but all these wonderful expenditures, you don't have it. Maybe we should go back to the old-fashioned way of paper paychecks. Why? Because then you could wipe your ass with the paper, because it's not worth the paper it's printed on. All your checks are going to be worthless. So, and by the way, one of the paid speakers talked about housing at $4,000 a year per person. Just south of campus at UCLA, one of the frat houses, they're renting out rooms. A private room is $1,500 a month. So just to let you know how much overspending you guys are doing, I'm someone who's appraised. I'm comparing UCLA fraternity housing at private room, $1,500 a month, versus some big shared facility, $4,000 a person. Somebody's got some very sticky hands. That's all I'm going to say about it. Very sticky hands. Well, at least the Green Day thing on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, that doesn't cost us 10 cents. Let them pay their $50,000 for it, because we don't have it anyway. Now, public comment. We are coming across Jewish Heritage Month next month. And it's very important because it's got a certain meaning to me. And one of the things Armando Herman said, send the Jews back to Israel. And I say, give them free lunch. They just have to eat the fish of false Catholic doctrines, from that doctrine of going to hell for eating meat on fries, stinky yeller fish. I mean, if a piece of pussy smelled like that, I wouldn't put my dick in it. I wouldn't fuck it with this dick. I mean, why should I have to appease a false Catholic doctrine for somebody else? It's not my doctrine, and I'm going to say it way before Jewish Heritage Month, because never will this Jew, never appease somebody else's doctrine that's not mine. Garbage, that's what it is. Now they give clam chowder and everything else. Folks, eat that garbage. We don't eat it. Keep it out of our Jewish delis and everything else. And this fish eaters, I'm not going back to Florida.
Thanks, Mr. Greenspan.
Oh, Ms. Roman.
I want to thank also community members who I didn't realize y'all were still here. Thank you so much. I know this process started 7 years ago with the Right to Counsel Coalition, but it also had another community-supported effort that brought us to this moment, which was the passage of ULA, which is actually funding many of these. So this is really, we passed the motions, we put the ordinance together, but it's the people who brought this forward. So thank you all.
Great. Okay, that is before us. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tally the votes.
14 ayes.
Okay.
My frustration about how this program has operated is obviously no secret. The fact that we are accepting, after the Budget Committee gave a very clear instruction about the data that was supposed to be provided to this council with respect to the Inside Safe operations, and that these reports still have a litany going back for over a year of blank spaces with pending information, only underscores the failure for LAHSA to give us real-time data and the mayor's office. I don't understand, given this fiscal crisis. By the way, happy National Financial Literacy Month. Okay, we are in a fiscal crisis, and yet we have not cut off the spigot for funding that continues to allow the mayor's office to expend these resources and put a gun to our head to say, well, if we don't pay the bill, all these service providers and all these rooms are going to go under. That wasn't the way this was intended. And the fact that these reports continue to come back with blanks where information is supposed to be provided about the number of individuals that are being housed, the number of like we're asking the same questions. Mr. Soto Martinez's amendment is no different than all the other amendments we have introduced repeatedly. They're just not getting answered. How often are you going to accept them blowing you off? And I'm not just talking about the mayor's office, I'm talking about all the service providers. How many more audits do you need? How many more examples do we need? That not only is this cost prohibitive, 351 days ago today, the mayor in her State of the City address said that Inside Safe needed to be recalibrated, and yet not a single thing has changed. It's inequitably distributed. The maps themselves show you that there has not been equitable distribution across the city. We see the exit rates that give us all of the red flags about what the problems are. We see the fact that this is going to obligate us for future budgetary obligations of more than $61 million. It needs to stop. So I appreciate the spirit with which you've introduced Amendment 38E. I appreciate that. For me, that is a marked note of progress from where we have been. Unfortunately, it's still, for me, a year late that I've been asking for all of this information. How many times have we been in Homelessness and Housing Committee? And there's no information. Everyone's I'll get back to you. It's verbal reports. They don't even want to come and address this council about the expenditures associated with it. The idea of what it costs Inside Safe to house individuals is exorbitant, and it, frankly, is offensive to working Angelenos who survive on far less. We don't have the money to continue to enable this. And right now, as the county is contemplating a conversation about pulling their money out of LAHSA, a year ago I introduced the motion, and I'm still I'm waiting for that report to come back, about how we centralize, not in a political office, but how do we centralize the operation and work that we're doing around homelessness, because we can no longer have this multiple siloed environment that is costing us tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. That we fund LAHSA to tell us we'll get back to you, that we give to the mayor's office with Inside Safe to say we'll get back to you, only to just force this council's hand to continue to fund this failure. So I support the amendments and the spirit with which we're going to go forward. I recognize where the votes are. I just will continue to vote against it because it's an insult to the intelligence of taxpayers who have demanded greater accountability. We've had multiple audits publicly disclosed saying how egregious the expenditures have been of these same service providers. It's all the same service providers. Just as I looked at that last item, it's all the same people, just getting from a different pot of money. And nothing is changing. This council has to change course now, and we have to force the change in that conversation. So I know where I stand. I've been in this same position, advocating for this for more than a year. I'm a no vote on continuing to fund this effort because there has been zero recalibration. And the mayor said it in her State of the City 351 days ago that it needed to change. There hasn't been a single change. So why do we continue to fund it? I urge your no vote.
One thing that we all complain about in the city is that we don't pay our vendors fast enough. And so I'm not in a position to vote against not giving money for services that are already rendered. And so I will be a no on Amendment E. But I do agree with the entire overlying, what we're voting on here today. And I get that there is a lot of frustration. It is a frustrating issue. Homelessness is a complicated one that involves so many dynamics. I don't have to get into it, but it includes other government agencies, and everyone's dealing it with in a different way. But look, I would say the reason we're funding this is because despite some of its challenges, it's the only thing that is working right now for many of our districts. I talk to my homelessness team every week, every 2 weeks. We're looking at the numbers. And I hear some chuckles from my colleagues, so I just ask that we be respectful. But ever since I took office, I had the staffing to look at every single encampment in my district. We know that number. That number wasn't available before. That's the work my team has done. We've done many insight saves with a 99% acceptance rate. And that is the work that I stand by with my team. The reason it's effective is because I have put the resources of my team to work on this issue because it's an important issue. And I can look at the data for everything that has happened on Insight Safe in my district. If you want it, I can give it to you. And the reason I support it is because it's working. And one thing that I ran on as a council member is that I would not lie to the public about what was needed to resolve this issue. I think oftentimes we think that we're able to get success by funding rates at $80 per night. We're kidding ourselves. We're kidding ourselves. The issue is so much bigger. And it's not just the amount of money we put per day per bed, but it's, are we building the housing? Are we doing mental health and all these other things that we need? So I am not at the point that I'm so frustrated that I am the no vote on the one program that is actually working in the district. Yes, we need to make it better. Absolutely. Absolutely need to make it better. But let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater in this moment. I think in a moment when we're feeling frustration, let's try to get to the bottom of it. Let's work through the different things that are the challenges. But anyways, I just want to say that because I think there's 15 perspectives here and with 15 different council members, but as someone who has really dug in on this issue, I will continue to support it again, and I repeat, because it's one of the few things that are actually working in the city of LA. And if it's not working, then I'm happy to, get in there with folks and see what we're doing differently, because I'm very proud of the work that my team has done, especially with this program. So I hope folks can vote for yes on this item.
Not paying service providers or those that we have employed or contractually gotten into an agreement with, I don't know, I've only been here 3 months, folks, so maybe I'm wrong about this, but how during an economic, already a calamity that we're facing, to now renege on our commitments, I don't know, I'm going to be supporting this, so thank you for the clarification.
I'm conflicted because to me, the future of homelessness is about a conversation related to accountability. And if you can indeed give us this information in the next 60 days, then I don't see where there should be a problem with supporting this amendment. So we really need an answer to that right now to really help us on that vote. In my district, Insight Safe has worked. Some outreach teams are better than others. And those who are better are a little, nervous about what's going to happen with their funding. And they have recently become more empowered to start actually questioning the county for their piece of the pie in order to continue the good work of everything related to outreach. But then there's also, just this weekend, another one of my service providers who is, in my opinion, someone who has just been used to elected officials just rubber stamping the money pouring out, but never, wants to work with our internal council office methods of accountability with our community council, where we ask them to come in on a bi-monthly basis, has the audacity to come to my community cleanup this weekend without volunteers. I doubt they were there to pick up trash, but we kind of guilt-tripped them into doing it, because all they really had a question was about something related to development that they could have asked us in an email. So I bring this up so that you can kind of see the diversity of how people are reacting to it. So I get that we need to do more related to accountability, but this is attached to a timeline. Can you give us better answers in 60 days, or this report in 60 days, so that we can at minimum hold some funds back before we're ready to give it out?
The answer to that, absolutely yes. We are spending the people's money. And it's hard. It is really, really, really hard that somebody has to wait for money that they're owed. But we got to make sure that we have a sustainable plan going forward. We can't spend $300 for a bed, especially a bed that's not filled, that no one's lying in, when we know that the conversion can put us somewhere else. We need to retain some level of being the governing body of the city. And on this issue, we have not exercised that. We just need to bring it back. So I'm going to be yes on 38E, and I really appreciate the council members Nithya Raman and Bob Blumenfield for bringing it forward.
Thank you, Mr. McCosker, because the instruction that the Budget Committee and the Council gave when approving Inside Safe for this year was precisely to get that information, that we wouldn't be obligated and have all these bills paid out that then our hand is forced. But again, the cart's before the horse again. Basically, everybody went back into just status quo, spending the money and forcing the council's hand to pay the bill without any outcomes, with report backs that are blowing this council off with a bunch of pending, all the data that they promised, that this council said, we want to see before we give you another penny to spend. And yet what's been enabled now, since July 1, is just all the spending and none of the data. So we've introduced all these amendments again to try and recapture that. And I get it. For those of you that have been the beneficiaries of monopolizing some of the Inside Safe operations, I get it. Hell, this is original pay to play. I got it. But the reality is that this is a citywide problem. And all of these taxpayers that we all represent collectively don't want to see good money spent after bad. And we know that the cost of Inside Safe operations are upwards, just for the rooms, that we can't even get confirmation of whether or not they're occupied or not, or for what length of time. Or we can look at the exit rates. Whatever you want to look at, this is a problem. And the fact that there's been zero recalibration, the fact that this council has said in the adoption of the budget, we want this data before you go out and spend any money, but yet here we are again. And I appreciate the effort that Ms. Raman and Mr. Blumenfield have engaged in to try and push back. But they continue to tell us to pound sand. By forcing this council's hand to just pay the bills again, without any changes, recalibrations to how the work is getting done. So I fully expect when you pay these bills, the 60 days will come and go, and everyone's going to be expected to just pay the bills for the next quarter, because nothing in the contractual obligations will have changed by then. So then you'll all come back and you'll say, well, gosh, you'll all wring your hands. Oh, damn. I wish they would change this. Well, this is your chance. We are in a fiscal crisis that can no longer afford everyone to bury their head in the sand. We have to centralize and demand accountability here. How many more audits do we need? So again, I appreciate the effort. It's come a long way, but we are not far enough, and we can't continue to fund the failure, particularly of many of the same service providers that continue to get contracts through every other which way. These are the same service providers that are just now going to get funded through Measure A in a different form. It's all the same game. So again, it's with great hope that there's going to be some changes that come in the next 60 days. I won't hold my breath. But we can, if everyone wants to continue to lie to themselves, or for political expediency, continue to just enable the failure, by all means. We're spending tens of millions of dollars on this and getting zero data and results consistently in return. To me, I can't think of a single taxpayer that would be okay with this.
Just to be clear, because I heard a number of colleagues talk, this is a fairly mild amendment the way I see it. This amendment is not going to prevent any service provider from getting a dollar that they have already, for services that they've already done. As you stated at the table, we're not getting receipts for quarter 3 until, soon. We're starting to get receipts, and you guys are still working on paying quarter 1 and quarter 2. So we have at least 60 days before we would even dream of paying these bills. So let's be clear that what we're proposing here is not going to hurt any service provider, because even if we didn't do it, they're not going to get paid until at least 60 days. They were just starting now to pay quarter 1. So that's the natural order of things. So I just wanted to put that out there because I want us to be clear. We all want our service providers to be paid quickly. We want Inside Safe to be effective. This is not an indictment on Inside Safe. This is merely trying to get the demobilization plan and to get the data that we've been asking for many, many times. So with that, I ask for an aye vote.
And I did just want to clarify, I've listened to this conversation with a lot of interest. As many of you know, I've worked very, very hard to ensure that providers are getting paid in a timely fashion. Not all of that work has been here around this horseshoe. A lot of it has been behind the scenes, working with the LAHD and with the CAO to make sure that we're improving processes to speed up payments and to make providers whole. I've argued for increasing costs to providers because I value the work that they do so deeply. And I actually have a lot of faith and trust in our homeless service provider partners because I see their work on the streets in my district, and I see their work in some of the data and the metrics that we're reviewing as part of the work in our committee, in our Homeless Strategy Committee. And I recognize how much work they put in and how hard they work, and I recognize that we must pay them in a timely fashion. Absolutely. I also want to say that I have been a huge admirer and supporter of the mayor's focus and urgency in getting people off the streets quickly and effectively into safety. From the day one, I admired the focus that Inside Safe has on that, and it is something that, frankly, the homeless services system for too long lacked. The homeless services system here in Los Angeles let people stay on the streets. And Inside Safe, at a citywide way, changed that approach for the city of Los Angeles. And I'm deeply grateful to her for her moral urgency and for her clarity and for her leadership on that. And I remain committed to that being a central part of the way in which we do our work. This amendment will not change anything about the way in which payments are being made to providers at all. In fact, if you notice that what we're doing in this report is paying bills for quarters 1 and 2, which we got well after those quarters ended. And for quarter 3, we will do the same thing. That's how these payments have always worked. It's a process that we follow. I agree that we should be providing advances. In fact, I advocated for those advances. But this will not delay payments to providers at all. And I would never support something that did that. I just want to make that perfectly clear to this group. What I do think is important, though, is as we're facing a fiscal crisis, as we are looking at a future where we have to argue over every dollar and where it goes in the city, I really need to be able to make sure, as the chair of this committee, looking across a rapidly changing landscape, that I can have as many beds preserved and fulfill the terms of the Alliance settlement as possible. And I need to have this information in front of me, and you all deserve to have it in front of you as well. That is all that we are asking in this amendment. It is not really designed to be a conflict or in conflict with any of the work that the mayor's office has rightly taken on. It is not designed to be in conflict with any of the work that the homeless service providers have rightly taken on. It is designed to make us better at doing the work that we have all committed to over and over again. And I really encourage all of you to vote yes on this amendment. Thank you.